of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Signing autographs. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
As our story opens today, there is a great deal of excitement in Frostbite Falls. Excitement that seems to center about today's issue of the daily paper, the Picayune Intelligence.
Say, this is news, Caleb.
And we better do something about it.
Yes, even in Frostbite Falls, the citizens respond to the challenges of the outside world and its geopolitical machinations.
Geopolitical macros, my eye. I'm talking about the annual flower show.
But, sir, those front-page headlines...
Don't mean a thing. The Picayune Intelligence has had the same front page for 15 years.
The same front page?
Why not? It's always the same stories. Cold War continues, plane crashes, world tensions.
But inside, that's local stuff. That's interesting.
Frostbite Falls dog chases Frostbite Falls cat over Frostbite Falls fence. Frostbite Falls boy meets Frostbite Falls girl.
Just fraught with interest, ain't it?
But for real heart-tugging suspense, look at this.
Wowee! The annual Frostbite Falls Flower Fair and Plant Pageant will be held in the high school gymnasium today.
First prize, a trip for two to glamorous Wichita, Kansas. How about that, Bullwinkle?
It's gonna play the dickens with my hopscotch schedule.
Bullwinkle, you mean you don't have a flower ready to enter?
Rock, I don't even have one ready to come up.
It was true. Bullwinkle had been so busy being a TV hero that he had no chance to tend his little garden. The flowers were in terrible shape.
I think they've lost the will to live.
Then it's too late to plant anything now.
Well, let's take your flower to the show anyway.
So bearing Rocky's entry, a checkered begonia, our heroes started down the Old Ox Road seeking horticultural splendor.
Not me. I just want a big flower.
A big flower? Did I hear you said a big flower?
No, I said horticultural splendor.
Not you, him.
Oh.
Sure, I want to grow a big flower.
Well, are you ever in love?
I am?
Certainly. You see before you in the living natural color flesh the greatest seed seller in the world.
A seed seller?
That anything like a salt cellar?
Say, what's your name, mister?
Allow me to introducing myself. Pete McMoss, President, Worldwide Seed Company.
Pete McMoss?
And the law school, Pete McMoss. This is my assistant, Ivy C. Hall.
Hello, darling.
What's the C for?
Covered?
Ivy-covered halls. Yeah, her I've heard of.
That voice. Where have I heard that voice?
Rock, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
And here is the answer to all your problems.
That's just one seed.
One seed?
One seed?
You notice kind of an echo in here?
My dear Moose, this seed is a direct descendant from the original Jack's beanstalk.
It is?
Certainly. Look here. You remember how in the old story Jack planted the magic beans and they grew clean up to the sky?
And there was a giant's castle?
And the mean giant chased Jack?
And he cut down the beanstalk and destroyed the giant.
And lived happily ever after.
Why are you crying?
I hate happy endings. Well, this is a seed from that very same beanstalk. Plant it and you'll be able to grow a bean blossom as big as your head.
That'd win first prize for sure. Okay.
Bullwinkle, I don't like this.
How come?
I got a feeling something bad's gonna happen.
Well, look on the bright side of it, Rock.
What?
We got a whole new plot started already.
True enough, and we'll see it begin to thicken next time in 4 for the Show or 2 Pairs of Plants.
You all remember the story of Sleeping Beauty? How as a baby she was put under a spell by a wicked fairy, how when she had grown up she pricked her finger with a needle and fell into a deep sleep from which she could be wakened only by a kiss. You remember, too, how a fence of thorns grew round the castle to prevent anybody from entering.
Anybody but me, that is.
And just who are you?
A prince, naturally. Don't you see the robes, the crown? You want to see my ID card?
Well, how do you propose to enter the castle?
Easy. I haul out my trusty broadsword and... They don't make broadswords like they used to.
The prince was distraught. What was he to do?
I'll show you. These they make like they used to.
The prince made straight for the tower room.
Sleeping Beauty, I've come at last. With one kiss, I shall waken you and... Wait a minute. Awake, she's just another princess. Asleep, she's a gold mine. I can see it now. Sleeping Beauty comics, Sleeping Beauty hats, Sleeping Beauty bubble gum, and biggest of all, Sleeping Beauty Land.
Sure enough, the castle was soon made ready as a great tourist attraction. There was Moat Land.
Have your X coupons ready, please. Have your X coupons ready.
There was Entrance Hall Land.
Y coupons, please.
There was Stair Land.
That's a Z coupon, folks. A Z coupon.
And, of course, Sleeping Beauty herself. Sleeping Beauty Land was clearly a great success.
1,000,001, 1,000,002. Sorry, the castle's closed till 8 a.m.
Hold it, Junior. I'm Yolanda, the wicked fairy that put Sleeping Beauty to sleep.
Well, that calls for some free coupon books.
Books? Look, I want half of this whole setup, or else.
Else what?
Else I use my magic powers to wake her up.
Well, now, we can't have that, can we, partner? And you are my partner, and a charming one at that. Now, wouldn't you like to see some of our Sleeping Beauty Land?
Why not?
Just step this way to Dungeon Land.
My, this is spooky.
Well, it's very popular. Some people stay here for a long, long time.
How does it work?
Well, I put these around your wrist, you see?
Yes?
Then I leave. Well, have a good time. I'll see you in a couple of years, kid.
So, once again, the prince was in business for himself.
1,064,000, 1,065,000.
Hiya, honey.
You're back. You broke the chains.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to.
Well, partner, how about trying our special submarine ride?
Keen.
The cement is just a safety precaution. The city makes us do it.
I like the way it squishes between my toes.
It's quick drying, too. There. Not squishy now, is it?
If I like this one, can I go again?
I'm afraid not. It's more of a one-way ride.
So the prince was once more without a partner.
4,002,000, 4,003,000.
Hello, I'm back. That ride was more fun, especially that first part.
But...
Imagine half of all this is mine.
Yes, including the souvenir sales.
Souvenirs? How much do they sell for?
Well, this one is 75 cents. This one is $1. This Sleeping Beauty cowboy lasso is only $1.69. Now, let's see. Carry the 4 and... Say, you're in luck, little lady.
I am?
You betcha. You also get the official Sleeping Beauty Land moon rocket as a bonus gift.
Goody. I've always wanted a rocket.
And the clever prince had apparently solved his problem. But soon he had another one. For the next morning, the crowds outside the castle were smaller, and the next day, smaller still. Clearly, Sleeping Beauty was a slipping beauty. And the prince was very sad indeed. Then, suddenly...
Hiya, sweetie. I'm back. And was that ever a ride? cried.
Well, you can have the whole thing back now, Toots. Sleeping Beauty Land is a flop.
Now, wait a minute. She's been asleep for 20 years, right?
Right.
Maybe people would pay money to talk to somebody who's been asleep for 20 years.
You mean...
Yes, we just wake her up.
We'll make a fortune. Go ahead and do it.
Who, me?
You put her to sleep, didn't you?
Well, frankly, no. I'm not really a wicked fairy. I'm just wicked.
But then how...
Easy. You kiss her. You're a prince, aren't you?
Well, not exactly. I never joined the union. I really make my living beating pigskins.
You mean...
Yes. I'm a hog flogger.
But just then a remarkable thing happened. Sleeping Beauty's eyes opened, and she sat up.
Don't worry, kids. I wasn't really asleep.
Then why the big 20-year act?
I just wanted to see if I could make it in showbiz.
Today's lesson is mighty important, remember?
Bullwinkle is a...
Not that lesson. This lesson.
And now, here's the one man on television who really makes you think, Mr. Know-It-All.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking, too. Same to you, buddy. Today, friends, we take up the problem of making your neighbor quiet without making him angry. Take that loud radio music, for example. Politeness is the important thing, and it always brings a polite response in return. Hello, kindly neighbor! I'm here to discuss your radio in a friendly, neighborly way.
My what?
Your radio!
Eh?
Radio, the radio!
Oh, all right.
Sometimes, however, it may become necessary to make your point in a stronger manner. Take that party next door, for example. One can usually get results by simply tapping gently on the wall. If that doesn't work, one must tap harder. And if that doesn't work, which naturally leaves just one thing to do, and that is join the party! Excuse me, please.
That's him, officer.
But, officer, I only blew it once, like this.
Gee, Mr. Know-It-All, it doesn't look to me like you're very successful at making your neighbors quiet.
Oh, I don't know, Rock. Here in solitary confinement, you can hear a pin drop.
Quiet over there! Shut up!
Hello out there, Peabody here.
And I'm Mr. Peabody's trusty boy, Sherman.
Right, trusty boy. And now we'll be off for another exciting journey back into history.
Ready, Mr. Peabody. What shall I set the way back for today?
For the year 1874.
Check. And the place?
Deadwood, South Dakota, where we'll meet that colorfulness of the Old West, Calamity Jane. The Wayback responded beautifully, and in less than an instant we were teleported back through time, where we found ourselves standing in front of the Deadwood Overland Stage Company.
Clear the streets! Calamity Jane is coming in with the noon stage, and she's at it again.
I beg your pardon, sir, but why all the excitement just because Calamity Jane is driving in the noon stage?
That's just it. She ain't driving. She's sitting inside the stage with the passengers. Look out! Here she comes!
We just managed to leap to the scene of the doorway when the driverless stage roared through the center of town, narrowly missed a wagon loaded with dynamite, and came to a thudding halt in a pile of hay near the livery stable.
End of the line! Everybody out! Is everybody all right? Yeah, cuss it.
It certainly is fortunate that you missed the wagon load of dynamite, or it would have been a calamity.
What do you mean, fortunate? I was hoping something like that would happen. That's why I was letting the stage run wild.
Golly, what for?
Because nothing ever happens to me, that's why. What's the use of having a swell name like Calamity if you can't have a calamity once in a while?
You do have a point there.
Folks is beginning to talk. Watch, I'll show you what I mean.
Before our startled eyes, Calamity walked over to the dynamite wagon and calmly lit a stick of dynamite.
Now, you'd think that a lit stick of dynamite would cause an awful ruckus, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, I would say that.
Mr. Peabody, make her throw it away. It'll go off any second.
Oh, don't fret, Sonny. With my luck, it won't go off.
But...
See, it's a dude.
That's Dud. And what a shame. You seem to have a nice little calamity going for you there.
Yeah, I gotta start having calamities pretty soon, or I'm afraid it's gonna break my spirit.
Curious to see what Jane's next attempt at having a calamity would be, we followed her to the stockyards, where she entered a corral containing the largest, meanest-looking bull I had ever seen.
Uh-oh, she's gonna get it this time. Look, the bull is charging.
But Jane's unwanted luck still held, for the bull missed her by at least 3 feet, through a fence and into a tree.
That's incredible. He missed.
He misses every day. The silly critter can't see a thing without his glasses.
For the rest of that day, Calamity Jane tried everything imaginable to have a calamity. She even tried to sit on a tack, but was saved by a rivet in her jeans.
Nah, it's no use. Guess I'll just have to change my name to Lucky Lucy. Forget the whole thing.
She can't do that. Can't you think of something, Mr. Peabody?
I already have, Sherman. I suggest that instead of changing your name, you simply change your luck.
How am I going to do that?
Very simple. Wait here. Crossing the street to the general store, I made a purchase, then quickly returned and handed the package to Calamity.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Drop it.
Drop it?
Drop it.
Well, it sounds a little cuckoo, but okay, if you say so. No, you done it. I broke something.
You were supposed to. You see, there was a mirror in that package.
I get it, Mr. Peabody. Now she's going to have 7 years bad luck.
That is correct.
Shucks, and you look like such a smart little critter. I thought you had an ID, but that breaking a mirror business is the silliest thing I ever heard.
Gosh, Mr. Peabody, she doesn't believe in it.
She will. Any minute now, Sherman.
What happened?
Calamity Jane just had an awful calamity. Got run over by a wagon load of chicken.
Chicken what?
Just chicken. There was only one in the wagon.
Well, that looks like the start of her bad luck. You did it again, Mr. Peabody.
Quite. For in the next 7 years, Calamity Jane had one calamity after another, the most famous of which was the time she was trying to light an old stove that exploded and covered the countryside for miles around with black soot.
Really, Mr. Peabody?
Really, Sherman? How do you think the Black Hills of South Dakota got black?
Well, in our last episode, the Frostbite Falls Flower Fair was upon us, and Bullwinkle and Rocky found themselves without a plant to enter. This was very embarrassing.
Naturally. You try walking through town without your plants sometime.
But they were stopped on the road by a pair of sharpers.
Say the name.
Who shall be nameless.
Phooey.
Who offered them a bean guaranteed to be descended from Jack's original beanstalk.
Bullwinkle, I'd think twice about this if I were you.
If you were me, you'd have to think twice. There'd be 2 of you.
Well, Flatlander, is it a deal?
Does that bean grow fast?
Just stick it in the ground and jump back.
How much you asking for it?
Well, I'm asking $100.
$100?
But I'll take 2 bits cash.
That's more like it.
And so our unsuspecting heroes bought the bean and set off for the flower fair and plant pageant.
Gee, I can hardly wait. Just think, a bean blossom as big as my ever-loving blue-eyed head.
Bullwinkle wouldn't have been so happy if he could have seen the 2 seed sellers at that moment.
He fell for it, Natasha.
Hook, line, and antler.
Oh, boy. Wait till that thing starts to come up.
Boris, this is the cheapest, most disgusting, nastiest thing you've ever done. Slimy, dirty, mean. Boris.
Yes?
You're my kind of guy.
The Frostbite Falls High School gym was a lovely sight that evening. Beautiful blossoms cascaded their multicolored forms in every nook and cranny. Giant prize vegetables gleamed in harvest splendor. There was only one little mix-up. Somebody had scheduled a basketball game for the same time.
Pass! The ball, stupid.
I hereby give first prize in the melon class to this magnificent cassava.
Jump!
Foul! Free throw!
This is terrible, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, we're trailing by 8 points in a Hubbard squash.
And now for the flower judging.
You better plant that seed quick.
Yeah.
And the moose did just that. Borrowing a large flower pot, he thrust the seed deep into the soil and jumped back. Nothing happened.
Suppose he sold us a dud?
But then the flower pot trembled, there was a furious rumbling noise, and...
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look at that thing.
That's a bean blossom?
Well, it may not have been a bean blossom, but the curious plant was big enough and exotic enough to win first prize.
Congratulations, Bullwinkle.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You certainly have a green thumb.
Yeah, it's spearmint flavored, too.
Tell me, Your Honor. Hey, where'd he go?
Don't ask me. He was standing right by the flower a minute ago.
Huh.
Well, let's take our enterprise winner home. Gee, it got heavy all of a sudden.
And what's more, Bullwinkle, it's getting bigger.
Yes, as Bullwinkle held the flower pot, the plant grew noticeably larger. Straining every muscle, Bullwinkle was just able to get the plant through the doorway, and even then, Rocky had to help.
Gee, I could swear that these leaves were holding onto the door frame.
Whew. Boy, I gotta put it down for a minute.
Hey, you can't leave that there. You're blocking traffic.
But, officer...
He's right, Bullwinkle. Okay, officer, well... Gee, where'd he go?
He was standing right here a second ago and... Rock?
What is it?
Does our flower look different to you?
Yeah. If it wasn't just a flower, I'd say...
What?
I'd say it was smiling.
Well, this begins to look more and more sinister. Don't miss our next creepy episode, Bean by a Blossom, or The Petal Pushers.
Well, it looks as if our time is just about run out.
Mine must be a little slow.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop!
We're late again, Bullwinkle.
Right!
Bye now. See you next time.